Okay. So, I was hoping there'd be a video, but of course there isn't. Okay, so Tyler Joseph's Sunroom Studio, and this was in 2021. Tyler of 21 Pilots enlisted Haverstick Designs and Neat Audio once again. So Neat Audio also did Josh Dunn's studio, and I watched the video of that. That was great. That was a really cool run through, and it was neat to see what they use and where they use it, because like something like say an 1176 or like a FET compressor you can use on anything, but to see that they use like the hardware ones on their overheads, like it's interesting to see, right? So after renting Trenched and Scale and Icy in his basement studio, Tyler decided he wanted a space with more natural lighting. That makes a ton of sense. Natural lighting is a game changer. I'm in a little dark room right now. I even have my blinds closed and I go crazy in here. My last place that I had a lot of natural lighting and it didn't interrupt the video. And I spent way more time in that room than I do in this room. And it kind of sucks, but it is what it is. What else? Tyler wanted the space to be more natural lighting and writing, recording for the next project. Jenna Joseph in surround design worked in the interior design touches as well. Oh, awesome. He had his wife working on the design touches. That's cool. So Acoustic Fulfillment, Oralex. Oh, these are all the brands. It says the gear. Okay, Audio Technica, BAE, Boston, Fender, Focal, Focusrite. Cool. He's got a lot of stuff. Furman's dope. Kayla, Lynx, Mellotron. I think I've heard of them. Nord, Motu, I've heard of. Rupert, Neve Designs, cool. Neve's really cool. Sure, obviously standard. Studio Desk is huge. Switchcraft, don't know if I've heard of them. Teenage Engineering, don't know if I've heard of them. TubeTech's huge. And Zayor, don't know if I've heard of them either. This is a beautiful looking room. So a couple things that are like, out of the gates that makes sense. So however long this room is, let's just say it's like, I don't know, 25 feet. You want to be about a third of the way off this wall, so 2/3 of the way from the back wall. You want to be exactly in the middle of the left wall and the right wall, where these these near fields are placed, because they're so, I don't want to say dependent on the room, but like what you hear will change depending on your room. So if he was hugging the left side, he might have different sounds and different like tonal qualities come off that side that kind of trick him, right? He might overcompensate or undercompensate for something that actually isn't there, just because the room is now giving him sound. So you want to be right in the middle. So obviously the design is around this. They're not going to spare any expenses around this, but those are some of the like main ones that a guy could kind of pick up. I'm assuming a lot of this is like actual acoustic treatment. These panels up here, you basically just want stuff. You want the sound to like go and hit it and either dissipate or not come back straight at you or into your microphone or whatever, right? So I'm assuming that these are acoustic baffling. You can see them in between the windows here as well. These might be bass traps. So bass traps are dense yet soft, like rectangular things, and they're actually spaced off the wall. So I don't know, you pick your distance, but it needs to be neutral all the way around the thing. So if you pick like a 1/4 inch, whatever, like there's a way of actually figuring it out. But it has to be that all the way around. Otherwise, again, when the wave hits the wall, some of it will get eaten, some of it won't, and it'll come back to you at like inconsistent rates. So these are all going to be exactly matched, like how far they are off the wall, how high they are, how they're designed, everything. And there's probably going to be more behind them as well. Your immediate placements are straight up. So like the peaked roof, like that will help too, because the sound wave is going to go up, hit it, and then kind of arc back differently, right? And then off the wall behind him, that's going to come back as well. So you're going to have a lot of dissipating behind him as well. And I'm assuming that all these windows are going to be like thick, planed, because you don't want any outside noise coming in. You don't want the birds chirping and now you have to wait for a take or something like that. So these are probably going to be like real thick, double paned or triple paned windows, maybe with like a vacuum in between. Like I think that's pretty standard, but sometimes they space them out a little further. And these will probably be some kind of curtain or covering that eats a lot of sound too. But like I say, you just want stuff. Like I put a couch in here basically for a coat rack and just to eat up space, because it sounds way better in here with the couch than without the couch. And I have glass behind me, which is really loud, and it only covers half the wall on this side, sorry. So it's all crazy. So yeah, I've got lots of covering in front of me so I don't get any like double backs. The top's covered, the sides are covered. Like there's lots of stuff going on. The guitars are cool. This is like a Jaguar. It's like, I think he just likes them. They have a really unique kind of buddy sound. They're really clean. It kind of plays like a telly, kind of sounds like a Strat or bites like a Strat. I don't know, they're cool guitars. I'm not too sure what these monitors are. I think they're the same ones that Josh Dunn had in his studio. Classic, the Fender bass with the gold pick guard and the ukulele. The keyboards, so the Nords on top, and I'm not too sure what these ones are. This one would be like a grand simulation. But like you could do like say maybe a string pad or like a something on the grand as you track in. So like if you would just want a clean piano, he had a grand piano in the other corner. That's probably more for like aesthetics, taking up space, like him playing in his own like writing and stuff. But it's just easier to record a nice grand piano. We got a sub over here. I'm not too sure. Subs are kind of interesting. Like typically you run, there's different patterns you can run like your subwoofers in. Like you can do cardioid and hypercardioid. You can do a bunch of stuff. But typically it's like in mono. You don't want to mess up your low end. You don't want it to like be panned. Like it just gets weird. So typically you just have like consistent sub sonics coming out of a sub from like one position. And it's different depending on your room, right? So that could be a sub. That could be just like a table or a bookshelf or something. But yeah, beautiful setup. So here's some more bass traps or some sort of like dampening. You can see them all on the wall here. And like I said, they will be spaced off the wall just a touch. Just a touch. The couch is probably very handy. This, like the floor is beautiful. The carpet will eat a lot of sound too. But yeah, you can see like all this sound baffling stuff. This is all very, very intentional. Like I would assume that they probably have like a buildup over here that they wanted to get rid of. So when you go up into that corner and you snap, it's probably really brittle. So they wanted to fill a lot of that in. I love the color design. So like it's so bright and like colorful yet subtle. Like you can even see like the beautiful reflection of the piano. This is a really nice looking studio. Really nice looking studio. Here's a good shot of all those that acoustic treatment. Like I say, it's disruptive. Like it's pleasing because they did a good job of it. Oh, these are hung. So these units here are actually hung. So the peak of the roof is higher than what they're giving us. They have a angled one, a flat one, and another angled one here. And then behind that, they've got like this. It just looks like a piece of wood they painted black. But again, like, you know, the sound would go up into this and just get like all messed up and get tossed everywhere, and you don't hear it as well. They have their corners blocked off or mapped off. You can see that too. Because again, corners are really bad. But yeah, this room is stunning. This room is beautiful. Especially like overexposed like this, like the blown out windows with like the fade into the nice looking. Like it's so pleasing. The matching headphones is cool too. Studio desks are neat. Like this one looks like it's almost built like his Grand, but it's got rack mounted space like on top and I think below too. So like your stuff that you don't touch too often, power conditioning, maybe some compressors and stuff that you're not going to touch, you might leave down here. DSP stuff, digital speaker processing, you might leave down here, and then like your hands-on stuff, your everyday stuff, your vocal chain stuff might be like up here. But at least it's all mounted, and then all the cables and everything are hidden behind the desk, right? So that helps a lot. Beautiful space. Beautiful, beautiful space. I like that. I like that. This is like a low profile multi-guitar stand. So this is a 5 spot, unless there's more over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not going to strip out my guitars to show you all mine, but this one is just more aesthetically pleasing than mine. But these things are expensive. Very, very expensive. These are nice looking guitars. Another Jaguar and another Fender bass. I think they're called Jaguars. You might want to double check that one. Grand piano looks nice. I'm not too sure what this mic is. This might be similar to Josh's Overhead. I can't remember what they were called. Looks really nice though. Boston. That's cool. A lot of these grand pianos, like they'll have technicians come out and just like check your room. And I don't know if they did this for this particular company, but I know some companies will, where they'll actually come out and they'll audio test your room and they'll sound check resonance check your room, and then either build or recommend a piano based on how your room is treated and how your room sounds, so that you can appreciate the instrument more, right? Especially like if you're gonna spend like tens of thousands of dollars on an instrument that someone hand built, like you're gonna do it right. You know what I mean? It looks so nice in here too. Okay, so here we are at the command station. So these microphones are really nice. This is a very, very popular hip hop mic. Okay, let's get into the studio. So this microphone is a very, very popular like hip hop vocal. I should almost learn about this. This is gonna make me learn about this because all this stuff has stuff to do with the microphone. Like this is like a plug-in thing. I don't know if it's a polarity changer. I don't know if it's a I don't know what it is, but you see these in lots of like how-tos in rap vocals. Lots and lots and lots of them. It's that Fender, what does that say? Powercaster. This might be like vintage before they called them Jaguars. Interesting. This is this looks like power. This is a power unit probably for the whole desk. This is his computer, obviously his iMac or whatever they call them. So this must be his vocal chain here. So I think this top thing is a DSP. I think. So digital speaker processing. So that'll just tell the speakers what to do. So like this is like a 8, a 4, and like a 3/4 inch horn or something like that. So you can use the processing if that's what this is or wherever it is to balance these so that you hear it the way you wanted to hear it. Because like the speaker will be designed to be neutral in a neutral built space. But when you move it into another room, it might be top heavy, low heavy, whatever. So you can actually design this to be more neutral or be however you want it to sound, right? The speakers that I use, they have a 3-way toggle selector for your DSP. And I switch it for different references that I'm doing. Like if I'm mixing, I don't like it on the actual reference setting. I like it on the theater setting because I find the low end to be more manageable. When I'm on reference, I'll like, when I finally start getting the low end I want and I go listen to it, it's like crushed low end. It's way too much. So if I listen to it like in a theater where it's got this like extreme low end already, then it starts feeling a little bit more tasteful just for my ear, just for like my understanding. And that's just a me personal thing. But in the DSP, we could set it up however you want, right? And that goes for live audio too. Below that, he's got the Neve preamp, that 1073 or 1073, I think it's called. I have that on my vocal chain too. This is the Slate Audio version of it. So there's a few ways of running this. I have this gassed up quite a bit because I have my actual preamp gain turned down. This preamp sounds better than my preamp. I have a Scarlett 18i20 if anyone wants to look it up by Focusrite. And it's neutral, it's low heavy, it is what it is. I have a shotgun mic right here. But I use this preamp. I've been using it for a long time. Yeah, 1073, that must be what it is. But when you start hitting this, if I can hit this hard enough, check. It should start like breaking up and distorting a little bit more. Check, 1, 2, 2. And the hardware version will sound a lot better than this one will. Like he's got the hardware version, it'll sound better. Then he's got, so that's just a preamp. That just brings the microphone to life. So the microphone needs to plug into something, whether it be like a soundboard or like a digital interface. And where it actually plugs in, that's the preamp, right? So before digital, back in the day of analog and old studios and consoles and stuff, they had these different designed consoles and faders and EQs and different parts of the board that you could kind of build, and you could have like a single chain that your microphone went into. It was a whole thing, but everything sounded different. Like everything had its own sound. Like even if I had a physical unit and you had a physical unit, my components might sound a little bit different than your components, depending on if I've dropped it once or twice, if you've spilled beer on yours, like anything, even just the actual design. I have a different piece of metal than you. I have a different spring than you. I have a different, even if it's the same make, same model, same factory, it's still a different piece of metal, right? So like, and some of them were just better than others. So these are probably like newer ones. I don't think this is a vintage one, but like Dave Grohl has a whole Neve desk that's like the whole soundboard is built out of these. So the microphone goes into this. This is what powers it up. It makes it sound glorious. It feeds into, this is a Pultec EQ, which I don't have like an exact model of. Let me show you. This is kind of one. So this is your frequency select. There are preset. 10K for vocal I'll do. So I'll boost that a little bit. I'll boost that a touch. Cut that out a little bit. High pass, I'm going to put it at 100. So this is just everything under 100, it starts to cut out. And then I am actually going to boost it about at 100 to give me some lows. So this is a Pultec EQ in the vintage series. It's got more controls, I believe, than the other one, than the one that Tyler has. But this is the idea. I have no idea what it sounds like because I can't hear myself back. But I do see that I have a lot less volume now. So let me turn this up. Check. Yeah, so that's a Pultec EQ. I can't see what it goes into after that because his headphones are in the way. Which 60s producer used to go and listen to his mix in the car on an AM transmitter? It's a great question. It's a great question. I don't know if I could name any 60s producers, but that's a staple now. AM transmitters were the birth of compressors, actually. So you didn't want, like, if you had a guest or a host, Phil Spector, very well could have been. Very well could have been. Phil Spector is known for a lot of stuff when it comes to producing. I would have to ask Dave that one. But in the AM days, when you had like a DJ or a radio host or whatever, and they'd have a guest come on or someone call in or anything like that, you didn't want to have your regular radio audio and then someone call in or a song come in and it just be distorted and just like ruin the listening experience. So they started building compressors, which just it limits the transient, the wavelength. So you set a certain height and it squashes it to a certain degree. So at a ratio of whichever you pick. And these things had a cool sound. And it did something to the music being relayed through it that we couldn't recreate when we moved to full digital. So it got too glossy, it got too perfected, it got all kinds of stuff, right? Should mix now for iPods. Lots of people do. Yep, lots of people do. People mix for the phone now too. I listened to a whole podcast episode from Chris Rabold. Is a great, brilliant sound tech, and he says that he wants to hear the concert back on the phone so he can see if the mix is right. He said that's a better way of him figuring it out. I thought that was pretty interesting. I just got to go back to my original mic settings because this is quiet. Okay, so the Pultec EQ is really cool. It's got its own real like vintage sound. Maybe I'll see if I can find one and do a demo. I had one for a little while in here, and I did a bad job recording my demo of it, so I'll see if I can get my hands on it again. But they're classics. Like, this is a classic setup. Yeah, this is a really nice looking little desk. I think this is just patch-based stuff, all this stuff down here. So this is just like direct stuff. So like the mic probably isn't plugged into the preamp. It's probably directed to the preamp in case you want to use a different mic or whatever else, right? So, but yeah, beautiful looking studio. Everything looks like it's grab and go. Like they had cables ran everywhere. No double use microphones. Everything's set up just so you can track it how he wants, when he wants. I'm assuming that like, there's probably, this is probably like a second setup listening position. So you have your near field speakers, but you can set them up for like listening for like a bigger spectrum, I guess. Yeah, beautiful looking. Everything's nice and tidy. Everything's out of the way. Like all this just builds creativity, right? Like when the momentum starts, like if you're like playing piano, like say you're playing something here, but you want to play on a synth, you don't want to patch over from your piano to your synth. You just want to go to the synth and start playing it. And I'm assuming everything tracks, like records in. Yeah, this is a beautiful looking studio, man. Beautiful looking studio. Shout out to Neat Audio. And who else did this? Haverstick Designs, Jenna, like beautiful looking studio.